Okay guys, I learned this trick by watching Bob Anderson. Bob does this almost every time he powers up a radio. He'll power it up, or a TV, he'll power it up without the rectifier first, just to see if all the filament windings are working well and you know, other things are okay. It tells you if there are shorts in the radio outside of the high voltage circuit. It tells you if there are shorts and things like that. So it's a really quick gut check to make sure that you don't have any problems in your radio. So let's do that. I got the Variac on. Coming up now, about 45 volts. You see I have some dim light bulbs. Okay, good. It tells me that at least that RF tube filament circuit is good. And I'm going to watch current because that'll tell me if there's any shorts. 60 volts. Current hasn't moved. 70 volts. Light bulbs are lighting up well. Good, good. Let's. I doubt I have any tube filaments that I can see, but it's worth looking. Let's bump it up a little. How about 80 volts? I don't see any spikes in current, so I think we're good. All right, I can see a real dim glow out of all the 27s. That's good. Nothing out of the 45s yet. 90 volts. Light bulbs are good. 100 volts. Let's take a peek here. Yes, all 5 of the 27s are lit up. Okay, let's find our way up to 120 volts. 110 volts. So far so good. Current's still well below half. I mean almost zero. Okay, all the 27 tubes are lit up. By the way, I've got an 8 amp fuse in that 27 circuit for the RF, and I have a 3 amp fuse for the detector one. 120 volts. Current hasn't moved. 123 volts, that's where it'll usually be sitting. Okay, everything's lit up. Light bulbs are nice and strong. Okay. The next step is going to be high voltage. So let me get set up for that, and then we'll show you that. Okay guys, moment of truth is upon me. This is where I find out if all the effort with this set is going to pay off. This has been one of the more challenging sets I've worked on in a while. So let's give it a shot. What I've done now, all the tubes are in, including the 80 rectifier. I've got a voltmeter, a DMM over here monitoring B+ from this circuit board. And let me see what else. I have not put a shield on that tube. You know, I'm not going to worry about that until I know whether or not it works. But it'll probably make some noise with that one detector tube uncovered. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the power up slowly, very slowly. I've got this radio does not have, it has 2 small electrolytics, but it does not have electrolytics in the main power supply filter. So I'm not worried about soaking those in like I usually am. They should be okay just bringing it up, you know, at normal rate. But I still want to bring it up slowly and see what we come up with. So let me turn the Variac on. Okay. Let me start with about 45 volts. Light bulbs are on dimly. B+ is actually at about a half volt right now. So that 80 is just warming up, that's all. But it is climbing. Going on 3 volts. Current has moved a little bit, more than before, but it has not done anything surprising. So let's move up a little bit more. Let's go to 60 volts. 60 volts. B+ is now at about 10 volts. Current is at about 1/4 amp right now. B+ is up to 15 volts. It's climbing. So that tells me the rectifier is working. Light bulbs are still going well, so that means that at least 4 of those 527s are going to be fine. Alright, so it's steady at 14 volts B+. Let's go to 70 volts input. B+ is climbing again. 40 volts. 43 volts. It's funny, it kind of peaks and then dips back down a little. It's done that at every step. Alright, let's go 70 volts or 80 volts input. B+ is at 80 volts. $85 volts, 86. B+ is at, it went up to 89 then dropped back to 87. Okay, so now it's at 86, dipping back down. That's what it's been doing. 90 volts. I should start hearing some whisper from that speaker soon. 45s are dimly lit. The 80 is working. All the 27s are lit and the light bulbs are lit. So far so good. Current is at just shy of a half an amp. 110 volts B+. 100 volts input. 127 volts B+. I'm hearing hum from the speaker. Check it out. Check it out, guys. It came up right on the station. Now it is humming.
And there's a company match of 6%, so I'm really 30% of your pay.
Okay, let's come up in power a little bit.
Yeah,
so we're at 100 volts right now.
And it works out very nice.
110 volts. Should get louder.
Thank you. But we have, I have about 4
And it
years
is.
left. I'm wondering, there has to be
140 volts B+.
it's not advantageous to put so much money in the Roth.
0.6 amps.
When I retire at 64, the tax advantage
Let's go to 110
and my
volts.
taxable income should be less. So I'm wondering, when should I dial more into my 401k than the Roth at a certain point?
Well, there's a big advantage to you doing the split you're doing.
It's getting nice and loud.
13 and 13, both going into half pre-tax, half after-tax. The company match is all going in.
Speaker has real nice tone.
You're actually pretty far tilted towards pre-tax money that will all be subject to tax.
Let's go to 120
The
volts.
beauty of you building up a reserve of money in the Roth is the Roth gives you so much more flexibility.
150 volts B+.
Pre-tax money, you have to take it out on an IRS required schedule no later than when you're 70 and a half, and there's a strict formula how much you have to take out each
Okay,
year.
right now we're at 120 volts. My B+ is 152 volts, and my current is about 0.7 amps. So we're doing okay. I'm going to go up to 123 or 124 volts, and that'll be where it's usually going to be.
Wonderful with the Roth.
There we
Do
go.
you have anybody you'd like to inherit someday, Chris?
So it does have some hum. Some of that's probably coming from my Variac. Some of it will be coming from that tube, and then some of it might be some wire dress I have to work on.
IRA or a 401k.
Oh, that's good to know.
Let's tune around a bit.
I think you should. All of them with the heart.
KSOP, man. This old radio probably hasn't heard country music in 50 years.
The advocate's law.
I forgot there's no AVC on these old radios.
It's just simply been unreasonable. Well, yeah, obviously it happened.
SOS Radio, where the music speaks to your heart.
Creation is in Him, as St. Paul penned. In Him we live.
Saturday at Olathe Community Park in Olathe. Convenient location. Don't waste your time elsewhere. And Center, we know you're good for it, and we have you covered.
Well, I would say, guys, that we're having a successful test. I'm real pleased. We're at 120 volts, about 0.75 amps, or 123.5 volts, 3/4 of an amp. Our B plus is 157. So I think we're doing okay. I don't see anything startling here. Everything seems to be working. Plenty of volume from the speaker.
AdoptUSKids.org. A message from the U.S. Department of Health.
Gets a little buzzy at real high volume, but you know, I can't imagine the old one was a lot better than that.
KALL, North Salt Lake, Utah's #1 sports dog.
Actually picks up a lot of stations for a TRF.
War. President says a ceasefire in southern Syria brokered by the U.S. and Russia will save lives.
Even though flags by the Iraqi military have been...
Cool thing about TRFs is that if they're right, you can pick up some pretty distant stations with them.
He preaches the gospel.
But you got to be ready for that. You got to kind of know where the loud stations are on the dial, because otherwise there's no way to pick them out, because you have to turn it up to hear them.
Between Trump's inner circle and some...
All right, let's turn this puppy off. I'm going to figure out that hum. The voice coil's not hot. Or, I'm sorry, the field coil's not hot. No heat coming from the transformer, nor from the choke. First audio transformer feels good. Now, I know there's a bunch of tar there, but if it was going to get real hot, I'd start to feel it. So I'm not feeling any danger signs. That rectifier's toasty. You don't want to touch an 80 after it's been running just, you know, even if it's only been running a few minutes. I remember one time I had a metal tube 6L6, a pair of them, in a nice stereo I was playing. I forget which one it was. But I turned it off, and I reached down and I grabbed that metal 6L6 and about peed myself. It hurt so bad. I had blisters on 3 fingers and my thumb for days. That loads you up with heat in a hurry. So here we are. I got a working radio. Now I need to arrange this so that it works better. I just tack soldered everything onto these lugs because I'm going to wind up having to solder them on site when I put this radio back together. But for now, it'll enable me to test things. These 3 tubes here are my tubes, and in fact, one of the 27s is mine because the one in there that came with the radio tested weak. This 80, he was missing these 3, just plain missing. So this 80 is a good solid 80. These 45s, I don't know if you know, these 45s, they go for a pretty penny. I only have a couple sets of them that are loose, and then I have some in other radios. And so I just grabbed one set of the ones I had. These things are like brand new. They're nice tubes. And if you look at Tube Depot, you're paying about $140 a pop for one of these, just for an ST 45. I maybe will bring them with me, demonstrate the radio, and if I got to sell the tubes to them, like I said, these are like new old stock tubes. These are real nice. They were in boxes and they're real clean. They're perfect tubes. Then I would sell them to them at a little less than what Tube Depot's asking. But I'd be doing myself a real disservice if I let them go cheap, because then when I need them, I'm getting ready to do a General Electric that I have that uses a pair. When I need them, I'm gonna have to pay through the nose for them. So I've got to fix this power switch, like I mentioned. Then I've got to look at why it's humming. I'll fix the humming. There is no classical superhet alignment, but there is TRF alignment. So I'll have to study up on that. But all I know is it's a working radio. All the essentials are really strong, and I should be able to have this radio ready within a few days. You see that right down there, that little pot? That's sitting there between the 45 tubes. That is what's called the hum balance, and I forgot about that. Now, I'm not real experienced in setting up the hum balance to make everything right, but I did tweak it a little bit, and it virtually took all that hum away. So I'll do a little bit of studying. It's this R14, that's the hum balance. So it seems to affect the balance between the two secondaries of the second output transformer. But all I know is it did help. So cool, eh? As I run this chassis, what I'm experiencing is high voltages everywhere. The plate voltages are high. B plus is probably a little high for this radio, though I don't know the spec. The rectifier voltages are just a little high. So I think that main power transformer that I replaced the original one with is maybe a little bit hot. Even though I've got it set, connected to the 125 volt tap, it's still a little hot. So what I've done is installed a 20 ohm, 25 watt resistor. It's running less than 3/4 of an amp, so that should be plenty. There should be plenty of heat dissipation or power dissipation ability with that resistor. So that's done. That's just in line with the line supply. And then also there was quite a bit of hum, and I noticed if I added just 1/2 of a microfarad to C29, that quieted the hum right down. Even with the hum balance, there was enough hum there to be troublesome. So I put that in there, and that quieted that hum right down. Let me show you where C29 is in this circuit. C29 is that last filter capacitor before B+. So you see B+ taps off there right to the right of R15. I've got it highlighted in red. And that capacitor now I've put in parallel with C29. That's all I've done. Instead of 1 microfarad there at C29, now I've got 1.5. I don't think that's going to cause any serious problems with the radio, and certainly it hasn't raised the voltage because I saw the high voltage before I put that in. So no big deal that when I gator clipped one in, it just settled the hum down and made it sound pretty decent. Okay, the plate voltage on the 45s, which I'm measuring right down there and across ground, is supposed to be 250. I can live with 258. That beats what it was. It was reading about 299, so it was way high. And other voltages across the radio were high too. So I think this is going to do a lot of good for these tubes. And 45s cost so darn much. You don't want to damage one of those. The stubborn Thomas Edison had to be talked into manufacturing radios by his son. And so he got into the radio business a little late in the game. His first radios came out, I believe, in 1928, and he dropped radio production as well as phonograph production in 1930. So there aren't that many Edison radios around. They probably didn't, it doesn't seem like they sold real well either, because I don't see many. I see a lot more GEs and radiolas and things like that from the period. So this has been an unusual experience to work on one of these radios. I may or may not see one again in the future. All right, the next step is going to be to show you some finishing touches I did on the radio and install the thing into the cabinet, and we'll close this project down. So from your Western Outpost in Salt Lake City, this is Michael, and that's all for now.